You got to buy something that's profitable. You got to buy something that's on the uptick. A lot of times if your sales are up and down, like that's tough for a buyer to look at. So total transparency, last year, our sales are down from before. And there's a couple factors to that. One would be the economy. Just it's more expensive. We've raised prices a little bit like everybody else. So it's more discretionary spending that we're looking for from people. And then the other factor is like when we opened our last store, I think there was only maybe 500, maybe 600. Now there's over 1,000. And so you have to understand too, if you get in early, that's awesome to get into a franchise early. There's a lot of hiccups, a lot of pain points, but also the ride it's just sometimes a rocket ship. And
it was losing my hair. For sure.
I'm losing my hair on top because of it, but there's a lot of ups to that. But then when it plateaus and when they stop selling licenses, you need to be careful and be mindful that there's a good chance it could come down and plateau. And so that's kind of what we're seeing all of last year. We've had a really nice uptick this January over last year, which is really positive.
It's good.
So yeah, we've had some people that have approached us for kind of our region. We haven't really entertained it a ton, but I think if the numbers were right and we could come to a really good agreement for both sides, I think we would totally offload for sure.
Well, thanks for all of that. And I agree with you. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens in the whole industry in the years ahead. I think there'll be some players that are around that aren't going to be around. And then there'll be a handful of players that probably are pretty strong out of it. All right, let's talk about pickleball. Like I'm a huge pickleball fan. I don't have any investments in any pickleball franchisors yet. I've had the opportunity to invest in a couple of them and I have not pulled the trigger. I'm much more of a cash flow investor right now. I'm not the best at being a great angel investor, much better at being a good cash flow investor. But I've been interested in the pickleball space because I'm a fan of pickleball. And I know that you got into a pickleball franchise. So tell us about that and how you found it and why you like it and all of that.
Yeah, so really funny story is the labor market. And it's not funny. It's actually really sad. We could talk for hours about this, I'm sure. But the labor market is really freaking tough, right? And so with Crumbl, like you're talking high school, college students, and just being frank, like they're not the most reliable people. They don't really care about being at work. And I'm not going to say that's a general term because we have some incredible staff. Like we love our team. But it's hard. It is really hard when you're producing a product from scratch. So the number one thing that we started thinking about mid last year was diversification. If we're going to continue in business, we want to diversify into something that's less labor intensive, something that's more EFT, modeled monthly revenue. And Jeff, my brother, and I, who are partners, and our other kind of partner, and then our new partner that we just picked up for Pickleball, we're all athletes. We like working out. We like staying fit. And my brother was playing. He was playing out in Arizona. That's where he lives. And it's just, again, it was another thing. It's just picking up. It's getting hot. And it's like, man, these courts are everywhere. And then you start hearing like Tom Brady investing and, and Mark Cuban and Gary Vee. And it's like, all right, like this is interesting. Like a lot of money's getting thrown into some of this stuff. And so summer of last year, Jeff and I played, and I'm like, this is actually kind of fun. Like I could do this. Seems less on my knees. I'm getting old. I don't want to run as much. Right. And so that was a factor. So we liked it. We liked the product. We liked the sport. You're not making it every day. And then for, I don't know, some reason, just something clicked. And I said, I got to look for franchises. Who's franchising this? What's going on? Who's getting in the space? And so early or mid last year, there was like 3 or 4 that I had found. I actually live in Delaware and there's one in Maryland. So I'm like, all right, let me sign up for this discovery day. I'll go check it out. Called Dill Dinkers. Little amateur hour, branding wise and some of that stuff. Great hearts, great people. But it really opened my eyes to the space and some of the data that they were sharing. And then I just started following the PPA. I started following the MLP and I'm like hooked. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm watching on YouTube. I'm like, my wife's like, what are you doing? It's midnight. I'm like, I'm watching pickleball. So we just started looking into it. And so we just, again, heavy due diligence. He was checking places out, Chicken and Pickle, Pickle Kingdom out there in Arizona. And then we found one called Ace Pickleball Club down in Georgia. And we visited there 2 or 3 times, a couple trips, met the founders, and we were close. Like, we were so close to signing an agreement with those guys. Again, great guys. I have nothing bad to say about them. They have a really great product. But then the Picklr, and I don't know what it is about Utah companies, but they always, they always leave an E out of their name. So Crumbl has no E. The Picklr has no E. It's like, what is going on out there? But so we ended up signing on with the Picklr. One of the main factors was they have the most locations open for a franchise right now. And I think it's 7 locations. It might be 8. They're opening their first franchisee location in Naperville, Illinois, March 22nd, I believe. I'm going to try to swing out there for that opening. But so they had the most open, they had the most data, and their marketing is pretty impressive compared to some of the other brands at the moment. And, you know this, and a lot of people probably listening and watching know that you could be the greatest baker ever. You could be the greatest pickleball, the greatest, guitar player. But if you don't have good marketing and nobody knows who you are, you'll never sell a thing. And so that's super important to us. Some of the other big things with the Picklr that are really, really interesting is the guys that own it, really down to earth, great people, but they're all about relationships, and the relationships that they have with the pickleball community is pretty incredible. So, and I'm sure you're aware of this, but they just announced a partnership with the PPA, Pickleball Inc. And so that's huge for the franchisee. If you're a franchisee, to partner with a huge organization like that, that's just growing exponentially, is super valuable. Like, we don't even have a place open, and our franchise is more valuable now than it was 3 weeks ago. So having those partnerships and really getting aggressive on that. They have a partnership with Nike Youth as well. And so, it's just, they're hustling, and they don't even have our franchisee location open yet. And so, so we're all in for that. It's a much different space than Crumbl. Thankfully, my brother Jeff's got a lot of experience in that monthly model, that EFT model, low labor model with Planet Fitness. So we've got a lot of collateral that will help with that. But I'm just excited about it. Like, it's just going to be awesome to walk into work or walk into one of those places and just people are laughing, having fun, playing sports, getting healthy, having social time. Like, what else do you want,
I love it. Thanks for listening to the Franchise Secrets podcast. Links to everything can be found over at franchisesecrets.com. And if you want my help with anything from starting your own franchise to growing your current franchise business, please visit scalablefranchise.com.